Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel and this amazing video. I'm Aditya. In this video, we will see how we can have authentication in Firebase or using Firebase in Nuxt 3 at server side, not on the client side, but on the server side so that we can have server level middlewares to check our authenticated routes. So without any further ado, let's begin. Okay, so what we will need first, I have created a Nuxt 3 project with Tailwind CSS, just if we have to do anything like stylings or some kind of things. But apart from that, we will need Firebase and Firebase admin SDK. So I'm just going to hit enter npm I Firebase admin SDK. So it will be two different packages. Now, why we need the client side even though we are dealing with the server side? Well, the reason being we'll be authenticating the user on the client side and then sending the request to the server, in this case our Nuxt API, which will be in our server folder only. And there we'll be saying that, okay, this is the user, please create a session cookie for it. And that's it. We'll use that session cookie further down the line whenever we want to authenticate the user for another authenticated routes. Now the problem here is this may not work if you deploy your website like Nuxt website on Firebase. The reason being, till today's date, Firebase, when it's set cookie, when you deploy it on Firebase, this is only when you deploy it on Firebase, it set cookies only like a specific session cookie underscore session something. Apart from that, it filters all the cookies. And even if you send a cookie to the client, which is going to be HTTP only cookie, it won't be set. So this approach is very much suitable if you're deploying your website. Let's say, I haven't tested it on Netlify, but let me know if you have done this approach and tested on Netlify. It might work there. Vercel, there are chances it will work there, but on any node server, it should work. So let's go at coding. Now we have this thing set up. Now we need to go to our browser. And so I'll just quickly close this and let's just go over here. We'll be using this documentation and we'll need to create first Firebase project. So I'm going to call this Firebase project, let's say test project admin. Now I'm going to delete this project after this video is finished. It's just for the video purpose. So I'm just showing this like how it's done. So continue, select an account for Google Analytics. Actually, we don't need Google Analytics for now. It's just simple thing. So till this is created, I'll skip the part of the video and we'll get back to this. Okay, our project is ready. So let's get into it. Now here we need to create an app. So here you'll see it gives me an option, iOS, Android, Windows. So sorry, not Windows, it just comes in sequence, but web. So here I will say test app. And then I don't want Firebase hosting for now. And I'm going to register this app and then it's going to give me the client side SDK things. So we will get these SDKs. So here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy these configs. Now I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm not going to create any form or something because the purpose here is to just authenticate the user and then see if we can have servers level middleware. So the authentication is going to be admin side. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a folder, which will be pages, of course, pages. And inside this folder, before that, we will need here Nuxt page to show our pages. And then inside this folder, I'm going to create index.view. And let's just keep a very basic okay, let's use JavaScript because I do get requests like, can we do it with just JavaScript? So here I'm going to say, not this one, login page. So I'm just going to say h1, this is a login page. And then what I'm going to do here is I'll be creating that app, the Firebase app. So I can create a reusable composable, or I can just add it over here. As we are doing this, let's create a reusable composable. So here I'm going to say new folder, composables, and whatever you put inside the composables, it's auto imported in Nuxt 3. So if you haven't checked my Nuxt 3 tutorial, do check that. I have explained these all concepts over there. So use Firebase client.js. And here we will just paste that code. So this will be our initializing of the app and all those things. Now what I'm going to do is here I'm going to say export default, use the name of the composable, Firebase client. So that's the name of our composable, and that will export our app. And along with this, what I'm going to do here is actually maybe I can create the auth side as well. So here I'm going to say const auth if we need it. So get auth app, and this I need to import it. So here I'm going to say import get auth from Firebase auth, and then what we will do is we will also return this auth. Okay, and okay, we can also have those DB, all those things if needed, but for now let's keep it app and auth. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go here, script tag, which is going to be our setup tag in login page setup. Now our user is not registered yet, so we need to register the user, but before that we need to activate this authentication. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in my browser again, authentication, and here I just need to get started, and then it's gonna give me some options. So I want email password for now. You can also use it for Google or Facebook, like those third-party authentications. The concept remains the same, but for now let's keep it email password. So email password is activated. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my project, and here I'm going to create a user first. So here I'm going to say import create. Okay, let's do like this, Firebase auth, and I'm going to say create user. Okay, wait, there we go, with email and password. And then what I'm going to do is as soon as this page is loaded on mounted, I'm just going to create a user. So I'm going to say create user with email and password. We will need auth, so that auth will come from our Firebase client. Use Firebase client that we just created over here, this one. And then I'm going to say, okay, once this is created, we say auth, and then we will need the email and password. So I'm just going to use a random email, which is just a test email. And here I'm going to say the password will be 12345678. Very simple. And we will get a user after this, and we can just console the user to see how it looks like. Okay, so now what I need to do is I just need to start the server. So I'm going to say npm run dev. Now, as this will take a bit of time to load, till then let's go back in our Firebase console. Now we will need something known as service account. Now luckily Firebase creates for you behind the scenes. So all I need to do is go to project settings, then inside project settings I just need to go to service accounts, and inside service accounts it will show you create service account. Now it will create for you, and then here it will say generate private key or new private key. So I'm just going to say, okay, I want to generate this. Now it will generate a new private key over here. It's going to be a JSON format. Let's open this and see what do we get. So it's going to be simple. So we can just simply copy this from here, go over here and create another composable, use Firebase server. Now this will be for the admin SDK. So here const Firebase server configs, and the configs that we just copied, so that will be over here. Now as our app is running, let's test our login. Oh, sorry, register. So I'm going to say localhost :3000, and there you go. We have, okay, composables. Yes, I miss function here. There you go. And now if we see it, refresh the page. There you go. Everything works. Now we should have a user in our project. So if I go to authentication, then users, and there you go. We have this user. Now let's log in this user and then get it through the client server side. Now what's going to happen is actually we can do the login. Like sometimes you might need to ask that user to verify their email and all those things. So things might need time. So straight away you may not like straight away have the user authenticated as soon as it's registered on the server side. So I'm going to show it on the client side, sorry, on the login side, after you log in and then authenticate on the server side. But the process is going to remain very much same. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to create new folder that's going to be server. Now this will contain all our server routes, and inside this I'm going to create a new folder again, API. Let me check if that's the correct nomenclature. So we have servers in Nuxt 3, and then we have, yes, API and all those routes inside that. So inside this API I'm going to create login.js. So that's going to be our login route. And what I'm going to do here is I just need to write this function over here, but I'm going to do things differently. So what I need to do here is from the front end, I'll be sending a session cookie or some kind of thing, not session cookie, but something. I'm going to send it from front end, and that will be authenticated over here. So let's see what do we need. So what I'm going to do is I will go back over here to the documentation of Firebase inside the admin SDK. Oh, wait, over here. So admin and manage session cookies. So here you'll see, so we pass it from the front end. Once we pass the cookie, then we take it forward over here to the server and create a cookie, which is going to be a session cookie. And this cookie, we will use it for authentication for further requests. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this sign in with email and password, because that's how we registered our user. So let's save this for a moment. Let's go back over here and I'm going to say sign in with email and password. This will go over here. But before we sign in, all we need to do is we need to make sure that we remove all the client side headers that Firebase will set by default. Not headers, but the parameters. It could be local storage parameters, it could be cookie. So we just need to, like, we want to take things on the server side rather than keeping it on a client side, because that's the purpose of this. And you'll come to know why we are doing this server side. Now in Firebase 9, you need to do things differently. So here what we will need is we will need to get set persistence. And if we want equivalent of this in Firebase 9, it is known as in memory. So in memory persistence, because we don't want to keep it in the browser, we want to keep it somewhere in the memory. Then what we are going to do is we will say here set persistence, and there we will have auth, and then we will have in memory persistence, and then we will sign in the user after this. So here I could say over here I will take all this sign in code. I believe this is the correct one. Yep, just in terms of scope. Then here put that, and there you go. So this is how you need to sign in. Now once the user is signed in, we will get the token, and then we can use it to pass it forward. So if I go to the documentation here, I will get the token. So I can do something like this. I need to return it. So let's go till this stage and try to, what do we need to do is we just need to, like, let's remove the comment, and here instead of you get cookie, we'll say use cookie, and let's print this value. So if we go back and see what do we get in this cookie, if we refresh this, is of course there will be internal server error because the persistence was wrong. This case it says like get token. Okay, so we just need to get here get ID token. It's Firebase 9 client side SDK thing. So here we don't get the ID token like this. We say user, and inside the user we will have the user, and then we will get the ID token. So I can now print the cookie value, and I will also print the user and then the ID token. ID token, there you go. Let's save this and see what do we get. So if I refresh the page, see in the console, so there you go, we have the user and then we have the token, but we don't have the CSRF cookie. The reason we are getting CSRF token as a blank value, because if you notice, this is a cookie that is like Firebase is telling us, okay, you will need to get the CSRF token. Now this CSRF token is more of your internal thing rather than Firebase thing. So let's say if I'm using Laravel, then you might have come across there is CSRF cookie. Even in Express, you can have the CSRF token. But in Nuxt, if you're having everything in one infrastructure, like API is here and everything, then most probably you will don't need the CSRF token, because Nuxt 3 will handle it for you. Like suppose if someone make a request from the other side, and if you have set the configurations correctly, then Nuxt 3 should handle it, as far as my knowledge goes. But let me know in the comment section, like how is it done in Nuxt 3 for CSRF token. The only purpose here is to avoid CSRF attacks, and we can avoid that by just getting our own CSRF cookie and just making sure that the request is coming from the valid URL or valid whitelisted domain. So I'm going to skip that step and straight away go to creating the session cookie, because in session cookie we just need the ID token. We don't need any other thing like CSRF cookie or anything, because this is mostly based for the Firebase side. So let's go back over here. Let's remove this part from here, and we just need to send this ID token to the server. So here I'm going to say fetch. Now the API route, login, and inside that I will be sending a body. So that would be json.stringify, and there we will have the ID token, and then headers content application JSON, and then we will get a response over here. Actually, what we could do is we can straight away, okay, let's send this and then we will log out the user from here. We will do things slightly differently. So here we will do something like this, and then we will get something that's gonna be, let's say, a response, of course, and let's see what response we get from the client side, sorry, server side. Now here I have set it like this. Now let's go in our login.js. Now here we need to set up the admin SDK. So if you remember, we have done this Firebase server side, use Firebase server, and here we have const app like this, and then here. Now just to make sure that as we are in the dev server, or we are doing this in dev environment, so this will still have the, like, it already will create an app, and then it will recreate an app again, and then it will throw an error saying that you are creating app twice, because you can only create once at a single instance of that app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get here import get apps from Firebase admin app, and here I'm going to check let app equal to, oh, not equal to, let's keep it like this. And then here I'm going to say, okay, if you have get apps, so if an app is already created, or if it's not created, then you will put it over here. Otherwise you just keep moving forward. Now once we get that app, so let's get this here so that it's in one block. And now once we have that app, what we need to do is we can either return that app like this. So I'm going to say return app, and we will need other things, which is auth as well. So here I'm going to go back to the documentation over here, and you'll see it is asking for get auth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to say, or let's do this. Let's keep it like this. Let's keep it plain. So here I'm going to say const app, that will come from use Firebase server. Now we need to import it inside our API.login.js, because this composables auto import only work in the setup script tag or in the initialization phase. So here I'm going to say import use Firebase server. So I'm going to import that, and we will have the app. And here I'm also going to say import, we will need, I guess, get auth, and that we will need it from not the, so here you need to be careful. We want it from the admin side, Firebase admin auth. And then once we have that, so here we can get our ID token. So I'm here going to say const ID token, because that's what we are passing from the front end. And here I could say read body, which is a Nuxt 3 inbuilt feature that will read the body that we pass from the front end. And once we get that, here I'm going to say, okay, get auth. And then inside this get auth, what we'll need is we need to create the session cookie. So I'm going to call this create session cookie dot create session cookie. And then now here, if you notice, it's a promise, like it's an asynchronous thing. So we need to make it synchronous. So we will also get this expires time, just in case we need it. We will need it. Actually, we are currently setting it for 5 days. You can change this by just changing the number over here. I'm just going with the default for now. And here I'm going to say, let's say const instance, and here I'm going to make it await. So this will be here a sync function. So that will make me use await here. And once we await for that, we will then get a session cookie. So actually we can call this as a session cookie, and we need to put this in a try catch block like this, so that if there is an error, we can catch that error. Console.log. I'll just print out the error. Oops, like this. And then what I'm going to do here is, okay, I got the session cookie. Now I need to set the cookie for my, so I can use it, like I just need to pass it in the response. So there is set cookie that comes with Nuxt3, and that comes in H3 actually. So if I go over here, it will tell you, okay, it's an H3 event, and then name, then value, then serialized options. So we can either import it. I think so we don't need to import it because it's auto imported for us. But in case if we need to import it, we can import it like this, set cookie, and that will come from H3 like this. So again, if you get an error, then you just need to import it like this, because this is more of an H3 thing, but most probably Nuxt should take care for us. So this is our session cookie. That's gonna be named session for this event, and these are the options. We want to keep it HTTP only, and once this is done, we can send something back. So here I'm going to say return. So we will just send the response of success, and once we get the success response, we will take it forward to log out, because the client side thing is done. The client side thing is only log in the user. Once the user is logged in, send the token. Once the token is sent, create a manage session cookie. And then once the session cookie is created on the server side, you log out the user from here. So I auth then, and we need to navigate the user somewhere. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate the user, navigate to, and I'm send the user to, let's say, dashboard. The route will create it quickly. So here I'm going to create a new route. I'm going to call it dashboard.view. Now here, let's have a basic setup tag. Then I'm going to call this again h1. This is a dashboard page. Okay, now let's see what happens. So if we go over here, refresh the page, 503 server unavailable. Okay, something went wrong. Import credential package. Okay, I imported it in a wrong way. So here it should be initialized. It all comes from the app rather than Firebase admins. Sorry for that. So this goes off from here, and then here we can remove the credential and keep only cert. There you go. Now let's give it a try. So if we refresh this page, there you go. It goes to login. Something is okay. We should be taken to dashboard. If there are no errors here, I guess the errors are on the front end side. There you go. So console, it says failed to fetch request with, oh, sorry. So we need to make this as a post request. So I'm going to rename this as post login.post.js inside our API, and inside our index.view, I'm going to make this method as post method, and I'm going to call this post method. And then now go. So inside this dashboard page, what I want to do is I want to set a middleware that makes sure, and it's going to be a server side one, that makes sure that the user only visit this page if they are authenticated. And how to do that? Well, for that, okay, let's go first in our application and see what cookies are set. Okay, so we are getting an error that the provided ID token is not a valid ID token. So what we need to do is, as a fallback over here, we will need to catch the error over here, and then over here actually, and if we have any error, we just need to send it, like we just need to handle that thing. So here we are getting an error, and here we just need to return something, because we are not throwing an error, remember, we are just consoling it. So here I just need to say status code 401 and body status error, and the error would be, let's do it something like this. Let's do message, or let's do something. Okay, let's do it like this, error, and the error is unauthorized request. So now once we have this, so if we go back to our login over here, oh sorry, to the main login, you will see in the console, okay, it's still taking to the dashboard page, but inside this index.view, all I need to do is just need to make sure that here I will get rest.json like this, because I'm using fetch API. So rest.json, and then I will get the data. Inside that data, I will have access to what I'm looking for. So here, if I say if data dot error, if there is any error, so you return an error and you just stop it over here. If we go back over here, there you go, unauthorized request. That's great. We are still on login. Now let's see why it's unauthorized. Okay, so we just need to add await here. because this is going to return a promise. So we just need to make sure we add await. And now when we save this, if we go back, refresh this page. Okay, now we are at dashboard. So the token was perfect. Now here we can create our middleware. So we'll be using this middleware directory and there we'll be defining a middleware. So let's get started. So we will create first an API route to check auth status.js. This is going to be post request.js. Now let's copy most of the things from here because they will be pretty much same, only a few things here and there. So what we will need is, okay, we don't need this ID token. We will need now the session cookie, and then we can, okay, let's remove this. Then we have, okay, instead of create, we have verify now. So here we will have verify session cookie, then our session cookie that we will pass from our front end, sorry, from our middleware, not the front end, but the middleware. So get it over here, remove this, remove all of this. This will give us a claim. So if everything is right, we pass back the claim like this. Claim will be claim. This is just the user details. This claim will be Will's. There is an any error, then in that case, we just straight away throw an error of 401 unauthorized. Okay, now let's try this out. So we go back here, create a middleware folder, middleware, and inside this middleware we create an auth folder, so auth.js. And what I'm going to do is, we have the function here, this one, not this one here. So I'm just going to copy this from here like this, go over here, paste it, and things again going to change differently. So here I'm going to make this as an async function because I want to complete that API call. And here let's open this up. I'm going to say const cookie, that's going to be use cookie, and I want the session cookie that's being set or have been set before. Then here I'm going to say const response is equal to await fetch, so that will go to API check auth status, there you go. And here we will have a method of post, then body will be our session cookie, this one, and then we will have const data equal to rest.json. Let's await for this and let's print what do we get here. So here I'm going to say console.log data like this. And now if we go over here, oh no, we haven't defined the middleware yet. Here we need to say define page meta. There we will have middleware, that will be our auth middleware. Oh sorry, this shouldn't be an array, this should be an object actually. So it should be like this, there you go. And now if we go back, refresh the page, okay, we have unknown route middleware auth valid middleware. Okay, let's see what's wrong. So we have define page meta auth.js, there we have auth. Okay, let's refresh the page. Oh sorry, let's refresh our server, reboot our server, just to make sure that it reads this file directory. Now should work. Let me see if I'm making any mistake from my side. So we have middleware, yeah, that should be fine. Failed to parse URL from API. Okay, now this time I need to do it something like this. So localhost :3000, then API, because this is through middleware, so HTTP API check host, and there we go. We have unauthorized for now, and let's see why is it unauthorized. But here we are getting the claim, so I'm not sure why this is showing unauthorized. Okay, let me see why is it showing unauthorized. So if we refresh the page, okay, let's see what's wrong, because here we are getting the claim. And okay, let's see what's happening. If we go back over here, right, what we need to do is inside our middleware. So where is our middleware? Check auth status, this is auth.js, and here we are consoling it, right? So what do we need to do here is we need to see if there is a status code of 401. Okay, if it is there, then we redirect navigate to return navigate to, and here we will send them back over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure this run only on the server side. So if process dot server, then only run this, refresh the page, we will be always here, no problem. There you go, we are always here. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that this session cookie is deleted so that we can see if we are going to the right page. So what I'm going to do is, just to avoid that infinite loop of navigation, what I'm going to do is, for now, just gonna stick to the login page for a moment, and from check auth status, auth.js, I'm just gonna make this cookie.value to be blank or something random string, which is not a correct token, like just random string like this. Now if we go back, we should get an error. So there we go, we are at login page, and if we try to go to dashboard, there we go, hey, we are on login page. So we try to get, or we managed to have the server side middleware, so that's great. And that's all in this video. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you feel this video is worth sharing with your network, please do share with your network. And please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. So see you in the next video. Till the next time, goodbye.